good evening, everybody. I shall just sort of do a general welcome, get comfortable before we start formally. We're expecting quite a few to join us this evening. Welcome to this webinar from the Association of Professional Property Investors. So as you're getting comfortable, I hope you already are, you've had a chance to grab a drink of some sort or even have your tea while you're watching and listening to us. We'll just give it a second or two just to make sure we've got as many people as we have. I think we're good to go. I'm sure we'll have a few more join us as we start. So yeah, so here we go then. Welcome everybody to Always Keep Learning, a new series of webinars from the Association of Professional Property Investors. I'm your host this evening, Simon Evison, and always keep learning. That is exactly what every successful property investor does on a continual basis. Why? Well, if not, frankly, you'll get left behind. Let me illustrate that. I spent a lot of time doing property seminars out on the road and spoke to hundreds of people over the years. And I've met quite a number of investors who come to me and say, but Simon, I've been investing for 20 years and it just doesn't work anymore. And usually after a bit of digging, it's because those people are still doing what they were doing 20 years ago. So it's out of date. And our guests this evening have definitely updated themselves, and one of our founder members who's going to be presenting to us this evening, Amit Malhotra, has certainly increased his knowledge, and he's got plenty of knowledge to share with us on making money from commercial conversions. Obviously, we'll be scratching the surface on this subject, but I guarantee he will have some golden nuggets for you to take away this evening. Not literally, you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm also going to be talking with our founder and chairman, Lindsay Hopkins. He's going to be sharing with you some essential information about the Association of Professional Property Investors and what we are and what we do and why we're here. And also we'll have with us Diane Goulding, another of our founder members, who in the early stages of her property career has learned useful knowledge from other members, and will explain how she continues to do so and how you can benefit as well. And by the end of this webinar, we'll show you how you can get involved. People don't always join us, but by the end of this presentation, many do. First, Lindsay, if I could come to you, unmute yourself, please. Good evening. Good evening, good evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Now, people will be wondering the same thing, and it's this: what is the Association of Professional Property Investors all about?
Okay, so it is two key words: support and collaboration. I need to mention here, but the idea of the A.P.P.I. it's a support and collaborative effort built by property investors for property investors. So it's not a bolt-on. It's not a control mechanism launched by the government or a council or whatever. It's not an imposed system. It is built by us, for us. It's for the good people. It's for good landlords. It's for anybody who is involved in property. So it could be a buy-to-let landlord, an HMO landlord, a developer, a sourcer, a rent-to-renter, you name it, anybody who's involved in property. And it's a collaborative support mechanism for all of us to have a voice. And the concept is that we set up and established the association in November last year. And the bigger we are, the bigger the voice. More of that later, but that's what it is.
Terrific. So you talked there about a support mechanism. In brief, what sort of support can a member expect to get?
Okay, I'll probably have a chance to summarize this towards the end, but let's imagine you are a member and you are you join, and we would like anybody and everybody listening tonight to join. So, how you do that, we'll guide you at the end, but also then have a good trawl through the website. And when you trawl through the website, you'll see that as a member, you can track down other members who are either geographically based where you are, or geographically and strategically investing where you are. So the support and collaboration, the support is there for you to reach out on a non-invasive, independent manner, in a way that you want to, So it's low key networking based on your choices. The support would be, gosh, if you ever get yourself into trouble and want some advice and think, oh my goodness, what should we do? You can reach out to the A.P.P.I. What else? The support will be that you can be part of a voice to councils, government, and indeed even the House of Lords.
Terrific. So people will want to know inevitably, how long will that support last?
That support lasts for the whole of your life as a property investor. As far as we are concerned, you are welcome, provided you put your hand up and are prepared to follow our code of conduct. You are welcome, because we are the good landlords. We are the good people.
Amazing. So can you imagine how valuable that kind of support will be? If you want to have more success with investing, you have to have this kind of support. Now, our first guest, as well as offering his support on the Solve My Property Problem Network event, we will talk about that in detail a bit more later. We've got Amit Malhotra. Welcome, Amit.
Hi, Simon.
Now, you are a very experienced investor with know-how across, I don't know, a number of strategies, let's say that. Tonight, you're particularly going to talk to us about converting commercial property and the opportunities are there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll just hand over to you.
Sure, thank you. Welcome all. I'm Amit Malhotra. I'm just going to share my screen with you all. I assume everyone can now see my screen. So I am Amit Malhotra. My company is called Bailey Homes. And this is a picture of me. You can see me on screen. You can also see a picture of me. Let's move on. My background. Who am I? So I am a motivated individual. Went to University of Southampton, managed to get a drinker's degree, and went into a 9-to-5 after my degree. That 9-to-5 was more like a 8-to-8 because I was extremely motivated. I was working in Canary Wharf in IT security risk, and I always had a passion for property. Property for me was a passion, and I personally felt I wanted to get into it. I just didn't know how. So I bought my first studio flat after graduating in year 1 in a lovely place called Southall, UB2, because that's all I could afford. I slowly but surely grew that buy-to-let portfolio. And oh, I've got my son here in the background. Son, you must go downstairs now. Yeah. Yes. Okay, he might join us. Apologies.
Famous. Happens even on the BBC, so don't worry.
Wonderful. I'm training him young. Anyway, we'll move on, and soon he'll either join us or go and play. So, why property for me? Well, I have a passion for property. I enjoy property, and over the years, I've slowly but surely built a portfolio. More recently, I've done commercial conversions, more specifically for this event, and done HMOs, buy-to-lets, and more recently, development. Apologies for the background noise.
No problem. No problem. It means it's live and it's real, Amit. It's delightful.
It is indeed, and that's one of the reasons why I love what I do, because you can be spontaneous. So I personally feel that you can become more because you are more, and I'm going to move on to some of the techniques I've adapted in commercial conversions. So the first one is more around sourcing and acquisition. What does that mean? It's fundamentally supply and demand, having something which is of value to someone else. This is usually done in the form of an option agreement, and this is usually done by solicitors, or it could be done more on a basic level. But I always believe in having good people in good places. Second item is planning gain, such as adding value via planning. Then moving on to reconfiguring, and later on in this presentation, I will share with you commercial to resi and mixed use development. And then finally is development on a larger scale. So let's move on. Why commercial conversions are great. So as you may or may not know, over the last couple of years, we've had a lockdown, more than one. High streets have drastically changed. As you guys probably know, there was a point where you couldn't even walk to the high street. Retail, large commercial spaces are decreasing. Banks, etc., are slowly but surely reducing. And therefore, I see cha-ching, money, opportunities. So this is one of my developments I did in Gerrards Cross. For the purpose of the viewers, it's this building here. Oh, I've gone one step too far. As you see, there's a NatWest Bank on the ground floor. Above was office space. At that time, it was being occupied by BT Openreach. What I did was I bought this building with a lovely car park of 8 spaces on the rear. During that development, I decided to strategize it in 2 phases. A commercial conversion, which is, as you guys may know, permitted development of office to resi, as many of you may have heard. And then later on, a development. This is how it turned out. So,
am I allowed to ask questions? Oh, you want to ask a question, Simon?
I had a quick question there. You mentioned permitted development there, Amit. That's quite different, or it's a bit different to planning permission. And as far, I think it'd be quite useful just to mention that it's got a slightly different process, if that's the right thing to say.
Yes, of course.
Just so expand on that a bit.
Of course. So more recently, planning has got easier around commercial premises, and they put into their actual contracts that there is going to be permitted development rights. What that means is that you don't need to go through a full planning application. It's like a quicker way of granting residential conversions. So what that means is you've got a commercial space, and rather than going through the full planning application, which could take 8 weeks, even longer in some councils, you go through a fast track process if it meets certain criteria and requirements. Does that help, Simon?
Yeah, and why do they do that? Is it so that they can get more houses or more livable property created quicker? Is that why?
Yes, well, that's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
As you can imagine, for those of you who read property articles, see what's happening in local councils, there's a huge shortage of housing, and therefore they are pushing for developers such as myself, investors, to give them property. There's a housing crisis, and therefore they can't get enough. So this is, I suppose, all incentives for property investors, the likes of us and others, to get involved.
So to get the process going quicker, yeah?
Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt your flow, Amit, but may I ask, so I'm imagining that, so you're driving around your area, and you find that potential unit, And that's when you pull in the people you know and your power team and go, right, okay, what can I do with this and how can I do it? And presumably you're sort of sitting there in a cafe, sort of thinking, right, I might be able to do that, and then you run it past, let's say, an architect or a planner, and they'll go, right, well, you can do this, and that gives you your point, that points you in the right direction. Is that how it works?
Yes, exactly. So I'm always looking. I go for a run and I look around what's going on. I go to a new place on holiday, I think at opportunity. And then I think, well, actually, who do I need to bring in to see, well, where the value add is?
Okay, cool.
Great.
Moving back to the development in Gerrards Cross. So phase one, for the purpose of this call, was the conversion of the upper parts of the bank. And then phase two was a new build development of 4 flats with car parking spaces on the ground floor. On this development, one of my first developments, I was known as Investams. What does that mean? AMS, ambition with motivation equals success. More recently, I am now rebranded as Bailey Homes. I'm not going to go into the actual cost, development costs and GDV, as most of you can see on screen, but some of the key takeaways, for me anyway, was communication. Why I say communication? Well, when you're working on high streets, you've got to make sure people are on board. If they're not on board, you've got to know who's not on board. So it's good to be friendly with the local neighbours, local councils, highways, and basically let people know what's going on before they find out. So communication. Power team, having really good people around you, such as quantity surveyors, planners, just good people, solicitors, and so forth. And then point 3 is more around the strategy. So when I did this development, I was one of the first on the high street developing. Shortly after buying this opportunity, there was other developers started buying up further down the street. So I had to make sure that my strategy was still applicable throughout the phases. Moving on to development 2 was in Notting Hill, W10. For those of you who know Portobello Road, this is just a junction off, which is Goulburn Road. I acquired this kind of lovely looking building, single story, next to a bike shop. As you can notice, it's quite straightforward. You've got development opportunity by going up. On your right hand side, you've got a lovely train track all going into Paddington, eight train tracks next to my building. I acquired this in 2016. It was a quite rundown looking building. And I always wanted to do London real estate. I couldn't afford it previously, but I had a passion to try and touch something in London. So I wanted to touch a W postcode. This is W10 for this purpose. One thing I believe in is, and the key quote here is, if you do what is easy, life is hard. But if you do what is hard, life is easy. And I strongly believe that, because I'll shortly show you why. So I bought a horrible looking end of terrace building. I knocked it down and rebuilt it. There were certain complexities around this, being network rail. So what were the sums? I acquired the building for 750,000. I spent 700,000 in development, which is quite a lot of money. And the GDV was 2.1 million with a hefty, lovely profit. Yeah, I was happy with that development.
I know, Amit, I know, sorry to interject again, I know at this point people will be thinking, where did you get your financing from? Because that's a big chunk of money there.
Of course, of course. Well, it's the way I look at things is I find the opportunity and then I find the money. Because if the opportunity is fruitful enough, there's people, there's specific funding avenues, and strangely enough, more importantly for this development, so I went down the route of bridging finance, but with bridging finance, they have certain caps, and I had a shortfall at that stage. I had a shortfall of a small number, and I used Together Finance. And Together Finance, more recently, I've just been told by Lindsay Hopkins, is now on board and supporting A.P.P.I.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So just to put things into perspective, if I was part of A.P.P.I 5 years ago, I would have saved myself just shy of £10,000. And, you know, everything is either in your pocket or in someone else's. And therefore, you know, it's a great opportunity. Okay, does that help?
Yes, it does. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
So Amit, basically what you did was you had developed, you've made 650,000 quid out of thin air, literally, because you went from a single story to a 3-story. Is that right?
Yeah. So strangely enough, it's not actually 3-story. In this actual picture, what you can't see is there's a basement here.
Wow. Okay.
And I'll shortly show you what it looked like inside. Let's move on. Basement flat. So this was underground, as you can see. Lovely light in the ground floor living area, vaulted at the entrance of the building. And then you've got a fairly large bedroom at the back with lots of natural light. What you can't see in these pictures is to your right, you've got you've got network rail, and you've got a 30,000 volt power cable. And that's where I say, I like a challenge, and that's where network rail came in.
I'm kidding.
Moving on, this was the upper apartment over first floor, second floor, with a beautiful looking 30 square meter roof terraced.
Just to clarify, I guess for that one, you did need a full planning permission.
Indeed. So with commercial conversions, you've currently got permitted development rights. Use classes have changed. In this instance, more specifically for the development of Portobello Place, Notting Hill, I needed full planning because I was substantially adding value. I was reconfiguring the actual building. Permitted development is using the existing, I say 4 walls. Sometimes you can go up, depending on how you use space correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, so, you know, I'm assuming during the life of this project, because of course it looks fantastic, and for somebody who's perhaps about to join A.P.P.I, who's a brand new property investor, you think, wow, wow, wow. But actually, I mean, obviously, tremendously proud of this achievement. But I'm assuming that what happened was you spent most of your day during this project and other projects communicating with all the people who were experts in their various fields, like you're saying, the planners, the architects, the cost accountants, the accountants, the solicitors. Yeah, is that right?
That's right. So actually, whilst doing this development, I actually was consulting. I was earning a day rate in IT security. I hired professionals to overlook the site. And I personally feel that, you know, you've got to do more than one strategy. And that's not only in property, your day job, and touch other areas if you want to grow.
Fantastic. Very inspiring, Amit. Thank you.
So what got me to where I am today? Attitude and mindset. I spent a lot of time on my cycle running in the local areas of Greenford, where I was born and brought up, then moved on to Kew Richmond. I saw many developers, property investors doing some great things. And I always felt, well, if they can do it, why can't I? And that was, I suppose, my attitude. Power circle, making sure that you've got people who have their A game, they're best at their game. Because when you're working with people who are passionate about what they do, then you're always going to get their best. Training and education. I spent a lot of time educating myself in property and other areas on personal development. And most importantly, I would say, trustworthy and supportive network. In this instance, Lindsay Hopkins has seen me through the tough and the not so tough through these developments. So having the right people around you is really, really vital.
Well, thank you. Sorry to interrupt. I mean, I know you're summarising, but so instead of your consultancy role these days, is it fair to say that, I mean, that you're also coaching and mentoring these days as well, because and just doing exactly what we all do in property, which is the give back bit. Yeah. Yes.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to be part of A.P.P.I, and I am, is because I strongly believe now is the time for give back. Learn from my mistakes. Why learn from your own mistakes when there's other people out there? It'll save you a few bob.
Yeah.
So I personally believe in dream big and live your best life, and that's what I've done.
Great. Oh, go on, sorry.
Last but not least, I personally feel adding value is very, very important, and that's what I do. For the purpose of all of those on this Zoom session, I'm not here to brag about what I've done. I've achieved probably 1% of where I'm going. What I've really want to show people is that I did it, and so can you. You really need the right people around you, and therefore, if A.P.P.I was around when I started, I probably would have made a few less mistakes.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, great stuff there, Amit. There's so much there I bet people hadn't thought about. You can see so much is relevant. And what sounded good to me is on the previous screen to what we're seeing now, you summed up the important aspects of developing at every level. People just think, oh yeah, it's just, you know, building or whatever, but having the support there, that was fundamental to the success of these projects, and that's just what we have in the A.P.P.I. Amit, would you agree with me that anyone can benefit from the support that the A.P.P.I has to offer?
Definitely. It's £20. I spend more money going down to the pub.
Would you also agree that eventually people have to collaborate and work together to achieve the most success?
Definitely. When I first started, couldn't have done it with good people around me. And I've realized the power of people. Having people around you who are passionate, people who can share their experiences. It's you can't put a value on it, honestly, Simon.
Yeah. And do you see similar sort of thing happening with other members?
Definitely. I've supported a number of people in property over the few years now, and I'm probably 1% out there, and there's people out there doing amazing stuff, and that eggs me on to do bigger and better. And I just want to show that a general person like myself can do it. So can everyone else.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Amit. We're going to hear a little bit how you've helped other people shortly. But Lindsay, coming back to you for a moment, anyone can join can join the A.P.P.I. We have an application process and a vetting system. Can you give us a bit of an insight into how that works?
Yeah, I mean, the vetting system is not scary. It's not, we're not credit searching you and you know, similar to, you know, applying for a loan or anything like that. We want to know quite simply who you are, where you are, what property education you've been through to date, where you're investing perhaps, what your strategy is, how we can help you. But I think the most important thing in the vetting process actually is your preparedness to abide by our code of conduct, which is you're going to be a good person in the property world. In fact, hopefully a good person everywhere. But it's by your preparedness to join, disclose information, and say, yes, I want to stand up and be counted as a good person and abide by the code of conduct. That gives you that gives us as an association so much power. And of course, that then gives you the right to have the A.P.P.I kite mark on every and any bit of business stationery you wish. And that kite mark, as the years progress, I can assure you will, number one, give you credibility, but number two, save you a fortune whenever you touch the size of commercial people, because they will stand up and take notice and realize that actually you're an A.P.P.I member, and you, similar to Amit's thing about together bridging, there's a significant discount for people who are members of A.P.P.I.
Terrific. Okay. Well, let's welcome our next guest who has passed that vetting process.
Thank you.
Goulding, welcome along.
Good evening.
Now, it would be great to hear a little bit about your background to start with, and how you got involved in property.
I had a buy-to-let, and then with my husband, we were looking at additional streams of income. We attended several courses that were absolutely brilliant, lots of information. At the end of them, we came out and we thought, okay, what's next? And this is where we sort of stumbled. We felt very alone and unsure. At the same time, another one of our ventures was accelerating. So it gave us a really great income and lifestyle. So we sort of put, you know, property on the back burner. Kept in contact with friends and kept in contact with people who were doing great things, but our focus was elsewhere. Then last year, I spoke with Lindsay and he said, you need to come and learn about the A.P.P.I. And I went, okay. So I had a look. I had the pleasure of meeting most of the board members, and I did ask lots of questions. I discussed their vision of what the association stood for them as individuals and as a whole group. And I then decided last November it was the right time to join and to have a look at property again and to build this again as another stream of income.
Okay, terrific. So apart from Lindsay, what was it that, or was there a particular something, what was it that compelled you to join?
Several aspects inspired me to join. Right at the beginning, because my fear was what next, and it's been a while since I've been in property, was my lack of knowledge that you mentioned up front. Things have changed. So I like the idea that the knowledge and the experience of the members would be shared via the website on form of videos and templates and articles, and that was accessible 24/7. So that was a great jumping off point for me. There is a community available by WhatsApp and Facebook, so you've got that. You also have the buddy system, which I think is pretty unique. There's webinars. Love the Solve My Property problem, because that's where you get real life scenarios with lots and lots of solutions, various solutions from people who have been there. And Lindsay just mentioned the code of conduct, and I think that is quite, you know, I've been through it. It is quite clear, and it builds that foundation of integrity, and that's what we need. That's what the property and landlord business absolutely needs. And I've actually noticed, as I'm going through my journey back into the property, that the estate agents and builders, when I say I'm a member of the Association of Professional Property Investors, they realise I'm serious about what I am doing, and I'm proud to be a landlord, because we don't always have a good name. The profession does not have a good name out there, but I am serious about it. And as Lindsay said, we're serious about change, just to change the culture.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's those few rotten apples, isn't it, that still make us out to be rogues and vagabonds. I mean, there's many aspects there that sound very attractive, and you talked about the buddy system. Do you think that is the aspect that benefited you most at the level experience of where you are now?
It certainly did. You know, you have you're able to link up with people, as Lindsay mentioned earlier, that are either local to me. And I found out Amit's actually local to me, and I had the wonderful opportunity of spending an afternoon with him. His projects blew my mind. They really, really did. But it was something he just said. He said, but I started where you started, Diane. And I thought, okay. So even if I don't want to have an amazing portfolio like he does, the fact I'm on the same journey and can take it as far as I want to, if I'm prepared to put the work in and keep improving myself, is amazing. So I've had the pleasure of meeting and working with Amit. I also,
so having sorry to interrupt there. So having a body like him that you can chat to is extremely valuable. I mean, the amount of knowledge that he's got and experience, even if you took away just a couple of things, it would be beneficial.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was my joining fee, you know, paid a million times over. It's £20 a month. And just one bit of information that I've got from Amit saves me a lot of money, and just gives me, it just helped me ask the right questions and get rid of people that aren't genuine. So that was fabulous. And I also had a problem. I don't know whether it was, I was very nervous. I felt like an imposter, but a buddy took me along to a networking meeting, introduced me to several people. And again, I was thinking, yeah, but look what they're doing. I'm not really doing anything. But they were so nice, and they made me feel confident that I could come out, and as long as I kept, you know, learning and in contact with these people, building a team, I could achieve what they're achieving.
So Dan, just before we move on, you've talked about lots of different aspects of the A.P.P.I. How do you see that it differentiates from other groups and organisations that are already established within the industry?
The one that comes to mind, because it's very important to me, especially at the moment, is the buddy system. Is the accessibility to advice from people that the real desire to make this profession something to be really, really proud of, because they're wanting to bring about changes that serve everybody. That's what I get and I find unique about A.P.P.I.
A profession to be proud of. Great. Well, thank you, Diane. So far, I'm sure you can see how great the support is within the A.P.P.I, can't you? You can also enjoy more than just your membership. It's a buddy system, it's a network. There's also, we haven't even talked about the library of information that is available. It's all on the members area. And you can use this all the time, because it will, all of these aspects, because it will make your life much easier. Now, I don't know how much help you will get. You'll get plenty. I don't know how much exactly you will get from joining us, but I do know that it will help you progress in a more dynamic way than you can if you're left to your own devices. Lindsay, I asked Diane there how the A.P.P.I differentiates to other organisations. How do you see that it's different?
We're friendly, but I think it's the independence, the positioning that we have there. The this built by investors for investors is quite important. I think when things go wrong, automatically, sometimes you're suddenly opening a checkbook to a solicitor for 2,000 quid, or to an accountant, and so on and so forth. Whereas if you're able to tap into a network that doesn't have an agenda, we're all independent. We're just here to quite simply help fellow members and help the voice of, if you like, property investors in the UK. But just by reaching out, you mentioned the Solve My Property Problem Network session, which happened.
Yeah, how's that work? Let's talk about that a bit more in detail.
It's 90 minutes. People come to the meeting with one or several questions. 3 or 4 of the board members are normally present, and we just dance around the subject. We all chat. There's no, it doesn't matter whether a question is complicated or straightforward. We don't judge you for that, because sometimes we forget the simple questions. You've all heard the mantra, no question is silly anyway, because somebody else is thinking it. I mean, the August meeting, we had somebody who was sitting on top of 2 properties. They knew what to do, but we, as a result of chatting, we added about 3 or 4 more other options, and it saved that person some money. We ran through a thing called a flip for free strategy, which is, you know, work with the vendor and build it out and sell it. So, and that's exciting, but it's the no agenda. There's nothing behind the scenes. There's no secret, you know, rationale. It's just called, we want to help and support each other. That's it.
I think something.
Simon.
Yes.
Just to add there to what Lindsay said, what I've noticed since November, all the people part of A.P.P.I are extremely ethical, and that's really, really important in my eyes. You want to make sure that who you're talking to has values, has some credibility, and you feel comfortable to talk to. And I've spoken to a handful of people, members. I now know most of the board members, and I feel comfortable. Therefore, I'm sure people that join would also feel comfortable.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you. Something we haven't talked about, but it is there. You know, details there. Oh, there is information, or it's highlighted on the website. Is talking about legislation. There's lots of changes within legislation. We're keeping abreast of that and getting close to the policymakers. There's a number of working groups. Lindsay, do you want to just expand on that a bit for us as well?
Yeah,
I think that's over and above, you know, the supportive, collaborative aspect that we've got coming through.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, this is to a certain extent a trade association grows on the basis a bit like grains of rice on a chessboard. So look, we set out our stall in November last year. The association is beginning to grow. Like I say, it will become exponential. So our vision is easily 5,000 members plus. But of course, you've got to start somewhere. A lot of it is, we were talking about it at the last property network meeting, member invite member, as in, look, hey guys, this is an association with good code of ethics, good code of conduct. Look at what you can get. You're only paying 20 quid a month. And wow, by the way, these people are helping us without any agenda. I mean, gosh, I'm sorry, Simon, I'm just getting passionate because I want everybody who's listening tonight to join. It's an absolute no-brainer.
Well, you obviously are passionate, proactive, getting people to collaborate. Well, you know, there's a ton of dynamic activity going on around it. So
but you were asking about interfacing. So
yeah,
we have 3 or 4 working groups within the board of directors, and one of our working groups is, if you like, to outreach to members, but another one is to reach out to. So our vision is to have a voice and communication with every council in the United Kingdom and government level, and the House of Lords to be able to have comment. I'm politically, I'm in a situation where I don't want to be regulated. I want self-regulation. We may be able to help and contribute with that. And if we have a strong enough voice, the government won't want to regulate us because they'll be comfortable with our code of conduct and the ethics that we have as an association. So that's the outreach. We're also outreaching to commercial people. So the larger we become, walking around with that kite mark will give you the right for all sorts of not fully established yet, but our vision is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 commercial discounts with lenders, with insurers, with service providers who recognize who we are and recognize your kite mark. That's worth joining.
Definitely, definitely. So with all of that dynamic activity, I know people will want to join, but let's say, so let's tell them, how do you get involved? How do you join?
Okay, I am pretty sure during the course of this webinar, there's either a message in the chat box which says click on this, join us. It's 20 quid a month. It's 20 quid a month or 200 quid per annum. I think, just to reassure you, so that it's and this is, look, this isn't a sell, it's an invitation, isn't it? It's an invitation to join this gang, which I believe is a good gang. But if you want to be cost cutting, one bridge, by the way, I'm not promoting Together necessarily, but they are the largest bridging company in the UK at the moment. One bridge up to around about £100,000 will save you around about 500 quid. You've saved your membership fee there and then. Are we planning to add more and more benefits? Yes, we are. I'll give you an example. We want to go to lenders like TMW, who we're talking to, and say, hi, why don't you give our members a special product called free survey, free legals, free this, free that, what we call exclusives. We can't do that until the membership is a certain size, but we're going to. So all sorts of goodies will happen because we've got the kite mark. So
okay. So while you're clicking through to join, Lindsay, why don't you remind us what you get in 50 seconds or less, what you get for that 20 quid a month?
Okay, so the game that we've had before on previous invitation webinars like this is I time myself, or you time me, Simon, and I go through all the benefits, which must be a no-brainer for 20 quid a month. Yes?
Absolutely.
So you've got to say ready, steady, go.
Okay.
And I run through it.
Ready, steady, go.
Okay, a list of preferred traders by geographical area, a recommended reading list, a member exclusive monthly Solve My Property Problem network meeting, a member exclusive Facebook and WhatsApp group, an invitation to our annual celebratory conference and awards ceremony, use of how-to documents and videos, listing on interactive members map and directory, discounts and incentives from approved industry sectors, a clear code of conduct, which differentiates you from the horrible people, a part of a collective voice to councils and parliament, and also ability to get our viewpoints on white papers, green papers, blue papers, pink papers that come out.
Whoa. 4 seconds to spare. Well done.
So how many seconds was that?
4 seconds to spare. 46 seconds. So,
okay. Now,
I mean, that's gone.
I don't know, but look. Of course, I'm biased because I am one of the founder members, as will everybody be who joins during 2022. The fees are bound to go up, not because of the cost of energy, cost of living. Why? Because we realised that we should recognise and embrace new members, the founder members, year one. But after that, we will have incremental costs to support, to create all the support, and therefore, please get involved straight away.
I mean, it is incredible value. I mean, similar groups, you sort of might get one or two of those or one or the other, but all of that together is incredible value. So just to sum up, by being part of this organization, you'll be able to learn from others. You've met Amit, you've met Diane, you've met Lindsay this evening. You might have been investing for a while, and I can bet you've changed your strategy, your way of working even. You've even forgotten stuff. Your membership allows you to tap into the Solve My Property Problem Network event, which, as we've said, is a monthly network event online, and you can remind yourself of stuff and learn new techniques. We have got plans to take it out and about in time. On top of that, you are part of a network that is closely watching the legislation to keep you up to date. And your membership means you're closely connected to those that make policy. So let's walk with you down the path of success. We'll be with you there every step of the way. We're here to tell you that it's hard to be successful by yourself. I think Amit sort of illustrated that. You need a team to support you. You need a collaborative network that works better as an individual. So it's simple. We're inviting you to join us. Click the link that is there in the chat box now. Yes, it is there. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Thank you for joining us.
Get involved. You've also got a, what's that called? What's that called, Simon?
That's called a QR code, Lindsay.
That's called a QR code.
Yeah.
To make it easy. Brilliant.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Lindsay, Amit, Diane, thank you for your shared knowledge.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Simon. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks, everyone.
Have a great evening. Take care. Yeah. God bless. May your God bless you.
Thank you.